course it'll be the same. My goodness. Hello, love. It is 9:14. It's 77 WABC. That's Ron Lundy in our greatest city in the world. Good morning, Mr. Ingram.
Good morning, Mr. Lundy.
How are you, sir? I'm fine.
I'm in pain, as I am. I'm not used to being up this early in the morning. I haven't gotten into the city before 10 o'clock in the morning in years.
Dan, I've never seen you up this early in the morning.
I've never been up this early in the morning, but I had a great breakfast. I had a dozen oysters and a half a bottle of Beaujolais, and I'm feeling real good.
May I say something before you get started on the oysters and the Beaujolais?
No, I've already done that.
I want to tell everybody that this special edition of the Dan Ingram, Ron Lundy Show is brought to you in its entirety by LaSalle all-natural ice cream.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
And I understand that Irene Fulrath has about 19,000 cases in her office. They can't even get in there for all the ice cream. So are you ready?
It was delivered Friday, and it's all over her rug right now.
1961 is going to be the first record. You said you had something to say about 1960?
Well, a friend of mine...
I was still in school. You know, I don't remember.
I just got out of college. Richard Lorenzo, who works for Richard Foreman Associates, sent me a chronology of everything that's happened at WABC over the years, and I thought I might refer to it from time to time just to talk about some of the things we did. 1960 was actually the beginning of the up to about 3 hours from now, the modern format of, I guess it's the formerly modern format of WABC, because Martin Block was on this station. If you remember, Martin Block was on WNEW for 100 years when WNEW was a, believe it or not, top 40 radio station. And they hired Martin, and Martin used to come in one day a week. And John McDonald, who probably had the best hands...
First engineer ever worked with here.
Best hands. He was the best turntable man in the business. Incredible. He would take a copy of a record and make it 3 minutes long or 2 minutes and 10 seconds long or anything you wanted. You couldn't tell on the air. And Martin used to come in and just record the talk. All he do was what they called chatter track. And he came in 2 days, and... I remember Martin used to give John a couple $100 a week in cash just so he could hit the network for him with all those little chatter tracks and make the records right. Anyway, Martin Block retired in 1960, and WABC hired Mitch Miller to create sing-along jingles. If you may or may not remember them. The sing-along jingles...
It's hard remembering Mitch Miller.
Right. I saw him on the street. He looks pretty good. He got 50 cents for each one of those albums, and he sold 14 million of them, so you know where he's at. Anyway, they were touting the new lineup. Hal Neal had hired morning mayor Herb Oscar Anderson. Don McNeil was on with the Breakfast Club that year. Happy Huggy Bear Charlie Greer.
Swing, Charlie
Swing, right. Farrell Smith was on after that. Jack Carney, who we both know from WIL in St. Louis.
Sure.
Who is a fascinating guy and the best lockpick in the world. And he also switched over to talk. He's on, what's that station in St. Louis, the big mother?
KMOX.
KMOX, he's still there. Anyway, Chuck Dunaway was then on after the 7 o'clock news block. Scott Muni was on from 10 to midnight.
Scotland Yard.
In Scotland Yard, that's right. And overnight, they had Big Joe's Happiness Exchange. Big Joe used to come in and take bandages off people to prove they were injured and then ask for money over the air.
I always thought that was Herb Oscar Anderson moonlighting.
He made a lot of money, I'll tell you that. And then Bill Owens was on. Bill Owens was also one of the original swinging 7 DJs. And the first survey, which was put out by Mr. Mike Josephs, who was the program consultant at the time. We talk about tight lists. Are you ready for this? The first WABC radio swinging sound survey had this list. The top 7 LPs, 7 Sure Shot LPs, 14. The swinging 70 singles, soaring 70 singles, plus soaring 7 singles, and the 77 Sound Sleeper. It was very alliterative, all that, very sibilant. Then in 61, the Swinging 7 Sound Survey debuted. Later in the year, sometime after July, it became the Silver Dollar Survey, which was a direct steal from John Box, for whom we worked at K-Box and WIL, and became the Swinging Silver Dollar Survey about the time I arrived here, which was July the 3rd of 1961. We used to call it the Ingram Flingrum. And we had Peter the Meter Reader and his weather machine, which I stole from an audition tape that some turkey sent to me.
Probably me.
You were in St. Louis on WIL. And Fat Pontoon, the weather girl, which I borrowed from Bob Dayton, who, incidentally, will be on the new Super Radio satellite service along with us. And Fat Pontoon was a takeoff on Pat Fontaine, who used to do the Today Show for a while. She did, didn't she do weather in St. Louis?
She did the weather at KMOX in St. Louis on television.
That's right. And Cousin Brucey came in I believe it was October, November, and or maybe it was September, I don't remember. Muni and Marl were called the M&M Boys.
Of course.
Because the Yankees, Mantle and Maris, were called the M&M Boys. And the Principal of the Year contest, we had our first one that year, which we borrowed from Bob Whitney, who programmed KBOX.
And WIL.
And the swinging 7 jocks appeared at Freedom Land, and there was a picture of me in the newspaper, a very strained look on my face, because that particular day, all the men's rooms were locked for some reason, and there were a lot of disc jockeys running from pavilion to pavilion trying to find some place to go. Fred Hall became the first all-night music host, and that's what happened in 1961.
I'm going to tell you, we're going to go. Well, let's try to play some songs starting in 61. Yeah, we are going to play a few records.
It says Talk Radio on the microphone.
Actually, yes, it does. WABC Talk Radio.
Quickly pasted over the old logo, I might add.
This song actually came out toward the end of 1960, but it stayed around in 1961. This was the Shirelles' second big hit. Do you remember this?
Sure, I do.
Well, will you love me tomorrow? I certainly will, sweetheart. Actually, that was, I guess, about their third song, but it really caught fire. The first one that they really had a big hit on was Tonight. You remember that?
Yeah, sure do.
That's good. That's the Shirelles. It's 9:23. It's 77 WABC. That's Ron Lundy with my buddy Dan Ingram. Oh, let's sell some ice cream and we'll get right back.
In the next 60 seconds,
we value good taste.
Oh, love it, LaSalle ice cream. Thank you.
Right.
It's 9:24 WABC. Dan, this is a Monday morning. This is the 10th day of May.
May 10?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
You thought I was going to say a day that'll live in infamy, didn't you?
No.
Well, with you and me together.
Tomorrow is May 11th, which
That's
happens
right.
to be the 7th anniversary of my marriage to Jeannie, and I'm going to take the day off, as a matter
Has
of
it
fact.
been that long since I wore that little white vest?
At my wedding, you were my best man.
And gave away the tie that you gave me on the...
on Channel 13.
On Channel 13,
on
where I was
auction.
selling things.
I was so hurt when you
I didn't
did
mean to do that, Dan. It was just the only thing I could come up with to sell.
That's why I stole your hubcap.
I know. Dan sold my hubcap. I sold his tie. Those were the good old days. No, actually, these are the good old days.
Things are
right.
really getting better, as a matter of fact.
Well, I don't know if they're getting better or not. They're getting
All
bigger.
I know is I got 7 weeks of paid vacation before I go over to the satellite, and that's going to be fun, because they got 68 stations lined up so far. I don't know how many they've signed, but...
I don't get any vacation. See, I didn't even know you were getting paid. See, I never knew that you got paid here until about a couple of months ago. I just thought you came in and did it for kicks.
Well, I do. It's fun.
I've never been paid, Dan. I think something is amiss here. 1962
Yes.
was a very good year.
Well, that was the year the WABC Good Guys premiered. You may not remember it, but WABC had The Good Guys. We stole it from a station in... everybody steals in broadcasting. Stole it from a station in California. And then we became the 7 Good Guys plus 1 when Babaloo, the big fat daddy Pooh, came over and joined us, Bob Lewis, and he brought along his variable Wiebel Furtzer, which he used to let the time slide roll and play an old record. Everybody had a weird way of bringing on old records. It was like Dusty Diamonds on some stations.
I never did understand what he was saying the whole time.
I'm the only person in the world who has been able to repeat that. He told me that to my face once. Bob, of course, is very busy doing commercial voiceovers, and he's got more money than both of us put together. He's doing very well. We had the Hotline of Hits that year, 1962. Sam Holman was our program director. He doubled as air personality. He replaced Farrell Smith. The Lone Twister... a featured disc by the Lone Twister disappeared when our station realized it was actually Murray the K. He put a record on and called himself the Lone Twister. The first Mets game ever was aired on WABC, and we carried the Mets baseball for the first 2 years they were in the market. And Howard Cosell and Ralph Branca hosted the pre- and post-game shows. Howard was not quite a star in those days, but I'll tell you, Howard and Ralph have...
Howard was always a star.
Yeah, but Howard and Ralph have several $1,000s of my money. We used to play gin rummy all afternoon, and Howard is a consummate card counter. And Ralph Branca ain't no bad gin player either. And I just kept getting skunked, schneided. They won an awful lot of my money. Les Marshock, who is, I don't know where Les is now. He's doing commercials. I know. I hear him a lot and he was at another station in New York. He won the Be a DJ for a Day contest on WABC and joined Cousin Brucey on the air and became a high school sports reporter for WABC and eventually became a disc jockey. He was studying to be a pharmacist and went on and got his degree. So I guess he can legally, well, anyway. Les went on to be a disc jockey at other stations, and we had a whole lot of good guys because that was the year that WMCA stole it from us in the same market and called themselves the good guys and started putting out T-shirts. And that was 62 anyway. So what happened in 62 to you?
Well, I remember one thing in 1962. It was a song. Everybody, was doing the big dance to it. And Carole King wrote it. And it came out with some little girl named Little Eva.
Oh,
and to this day, I'll swear it, this is Carole King.
I think
I really believe it.
Everybody's doing a brand new dance now. Come on, baby.
I don't know. I always did I think it was Carole King. I really did. And then when they used to go around with the shows and Dick Clark, they used to have a little girl. That was supposed to be Carole King's babysitter or something recorded it, but that really sounds like Carole King.
That's Carole King. And the reason I know you're right is because in 2 different Dick Clark shows, the girl who was Little Eva was a different girl each time.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
That's like Steely Dan.
That's right.
Yeah. Listen, it's 9:30 at WABC. I want to thank George Calvin for giving us all this ice cream today.
Okay, Jimmy, next announcer, please. Just one.
We value good taste.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you value good taste, you're going to value LaSalle ice cream. Yum. A little early in the morning, but...
That's good stuff.
Oh, that is good.
I love it on Wheaties.
Oh, I do, too.
On Wheaties.
I do, too. I didn't think anybody else did that but me. Oh, I love it. Oh, yeah.
It's great on Wheaties.
Oh, it really is in the morning. Get that good sugar going for you. It's 9:32 at WABC. Hey, we're up to 1963, Dan.
We are already?
Oh, we're just going through some fast years.
Well, wait till we get to the 70s. They'll go by real quick.
I don't even remember the 70s.
Almost nothing happened in the 70s. In 63, WABC finally realized there were too many good guys in New York, so we changed our name. We had a meeting with Hal Neal, and we just decided what could we do that WMCA couldn't copy. Well, we said, we'll be the All-Americans, and that's where we became the All-Americans, and we presented the new All-American survey on the most illogical day. I've never been able to figure out why, but Tuesday afternoon is when we brought the new survey on. It made no sense whatsoever, but that's what we did, and got carved in stone. Cousin Brucey also did the same thing the same night. He would do the same thing and count down the survey. The Four Seasons recorded Cousin Brucey's tune, Having a Ball with Cousin Brucey. You remember that. Go, go, Cousin Brucey. And Scott Muni went into the WABC gold mine every night. Dayton Place became in. Bob Dayton became the resident weekend host. He started here at working weekends. And the station temporarily ceased playing the hits following the JFK assassination, which I remember quite vividly. We started playing a lot of Mantovani and did that for about a week. And then, as happened many times after that, I was the guy that had to go back on the air. And
that's the truth. You know, I was thinking back, seems like you were on the air when everything happened.
I was, and it's frankly not very good memories. But I remember going back on the air, and I remember saying, well, ain't nothing I can do about it. I'm the guy that's here to do it. I got some awfully nice mail from people about that.
I'll bet you did.
Yeah, there are a lot of good people out there. A lot of crazy people, too. I have 2 letters that hang on my wall. One is neatly typed and single-spaced on onion skin paper from a chap who was working on his Ph.D., and the thrust of the letter is that he used to listen to me while he was doing his work and had it on in the background, and he said every once in a while I'd say something that would make him laugh, and he thought that was very nice. And the other letter is written in crayon, and it says, shut the bleep up.
They won't let him have sharp objects.
It says, shut the bleep up when you're introducing records. You're ruining my tape recorder. So you realize those are your parameters.
1963.
Yes.
Oh, what a year. What a year. I wasn't here then. I was still in school. But I do remember some of the songs. So fine, chiffon. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they really had little bitty short records back in those days, didn't they?
I loved it.
I don't know if it was here, but I know about this time in St. Louis, we wouldn't play a record if it was 3 minutes long, if it was 2:30, 2:45, because it just didn't have enough time. There were so many commercials.
Sure.
There were so many commercials and so many promotions and so many contests. You just didn't have time to play the long records.
Well, I remember Do Lang very well, because the first time that record came out, I came out of the music meeting with it, went in on the air, and played it 3 times in a row and blew out the switchboard downstairs. And Wally Schwartz, who was our general manager at the time, wonderful guy, came storming in the studio and said, knock it off! He couldn't get a call out.
I did that with Help when it came out of
Really?
St. Louis. I played all afternoon, every record, yeah. 1964, saw the Beatles. And saw the beginning of WABC. Actually, I think it was about 10, 12, 14 record companies that had so much Beatle recordings tucked away in the safes and everything, which they thought... Of course, I mean, what's this? You know, a funny-looking group from England with long hair. If you've seen pictures of the Beatles today, you look at them, they didn't have long hair at all. They really didn't. But back then, I guess they did because, you know, it was crew cut and thin tie city days. Very thin ties.
You couldn't see their ears.
Yeah, and the pleats were going out of pants and all kinds of stuff.
Well, 64 was the year that Rick Sklar became the program director here at WABC and turned a #1 station into a superstation, WABC.
Yeah.
We had the Beatles Sound Spectacular, win a date with the Beatles. We raised an awful lot of money for cerebral palsy with that. And if you remember, some fans stole Ringo's St. Christopher medal.
Medallion, yeah.
The medallion that he had around his neck. And we went on the air and said, please, whoever has it, come forward and give it back because his auntie gave it to him. Well, of course, the girl who had it came forward immediately. But Rick Sklar, being no fool, stashed her in a hotel room overnight while we went on the air. with
all the publicity.
Where is it?
Yes.
And we had a press conference the next day. Everybody but the New York Times, which never covers radio. Except last week they did. But everybody in the New York Times was there, and we gave back the medal. And, of course, we had all kinds of kids out in the street. Do we have that tape around here from... I may have it here. Let me just take a look at my thing. We've played this before, but I'd like to play this now. There were 10,000 kids out in the street.
This is when everybody was singing the
Everybody
jingles?
was singing the jingles, and we've played this before, played it on the 20th show. I think it bears repeating. This is frightening to me because it shows you how much power you have and don't know it usually when you're on the air. We hung a mic out the window, and Scott Muni and Bruce Morrow
This was over to Warwick, right?
Over to Warwick.
Yeah.
We're on the air, and we asked the kids to sing along, and this is what happened.
You're in such a great mood, while that crowd is in such a great mood, Big Dan, out there on Park Avenue, and we dearly love them.
Yeah.
Scotto's here with Cousin Brucey, and Dan, you're right there. Let's have a little sing-along with all the crowd out there. Everybody stand by. We want you to sing along to a few of our All-American jingles. Let's live it up.
All right, can I sing along with the one about the team first?
Let's do the team. Everybody stand by and listen and sing along to our team jingle.
All right, here we go. Sing along.
The greatest team in the world. You! And 77 WABC. All-American.
That's pretty good. You think they could do it a little louder this time if we play a different jingle for them?
Yeah, they'll try it again. They're great. We love them.
Let's go with another jingle
Let's
for the crowd.
go with another one, Dan.
Your world looks great. From 77
That's almost good enough. One more time with another jingle. One more time with another jingle, all right?
time.
Here we go. This time real big. Let's hear it now.
Let's swing with the All-Americans on 77 WABC.
I think that deserves a Beatles record, right? Okay, let's go with Beatles music.
Oh yeah, tell you something. I wanna hold your hand.
Well, that was some day. That was an incredible day. 64 incidentally was the year they had the April Fool's Day where they had me in the studio patched out, and I thought I was on the air and I wasn't, and Bob Dayton was on the air. That was kind of fun. That was a good year, 64. That's when it all really started to hang together.
That's because I was still in St. Louis.
You were still in St. Louis. It was like, I feel like, what was the Mamas and Papas record, Creek Alley?
Yeah, right.
John and Mitchie were still out there.
American Express card, right. Oh, boy, that was really good. I remember when the Beatles came out. I did not like the Beatles at all. I really didn't, because I just thought that they sounded like four Everly Brothers. And I really did, you know. And, I mean, everything, all of a sudden, I've never seen anything like that in my life, the way that they took off. Now, that was on Capitol, that record, but they had so many, like I said before, that everybody in the world had recorded and had in safes. But that was actually their first American hit.
Well, BJ
I Want to
had all
Hold Your
that
Hand.
stuff on.
Oh, yeah, and Thule and all
I had that in
kind of stuff.
'63. A guy named Bob Maxwell, who's been around music for years. gave me the album and said, "What do you think of them?" I said,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It took me, I don't know, I guess to see them in concert to really appreciate it. It really did. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Of course, the Beatles, not unlike the Beach Boys, are really a recording group. Because the Beatles on stage, I'm sure, a lot of you have seen them, but you couldn't hear them anyway.
No.
And, I mean, they couldn't hear each other to get their pitch, to get their tone. They couldn't even hear each other on the stage.
Well, in the Shea Stadium concert, we had some film that someone shot, which was actually picking up what they were doing.
Yeah.
They weren't singing at all. They were on da 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 da.
And you couldn't tell the difference. You really couldn't. But anyway, I was still out in St. Louis then, and I was getting a little edgy, a little excited, calling Rick Sklar every third day and calling you, and that was in 1964. The special edition of the Dan Ingram, Ron Lundy program is being brought to you by LaSalle All-Natural Ice Cream.
Sir, I think the desert heat has gotten to the men. We value good taste.
Oh, we certainly do. Well, getting up to my time now, I can sort of relate. Coming in to 1965, Dan, this was the first record I ever played on the air in New York.
Yeah?
And I didn't know this. A listener had written me just a couple of months ago was telling me. I had no idea in the world what it was.
I don't know what I played.
But this was the first. They had a song before this, but this is what really kicked it off. In 1965 for the Stones. Oh, still trying to get some satisfaction.
Well, 65 was a big year at WABC.
You know they cut the middle chorus out of the song when it came out here at WABC because it was a little risque.
No kidding.
Truthfully. Yes. Engineers did such a good job on it you couldn't even tell, and that was locally done here. They cut middle chorus out about in the back seat and all that stuff.
Done that a lot.
Sure, of course.
Oh, incidentally, we're talking about 65. A lot of things happened in 65. Bob Dayton made an unfortunate remark about Hiroshima, and then played, he did not play Happy Birthday Baby, he played 16 Candles, which starts out Happy
Everybody
Birthday
says
Baby.
it was Happy Birthday,
It was
but
16
it was 16 Candles.
Yeah. And that was it. He was fired before he was off the air and didn't know it, and it's one of those things that happens sometimes, and that created an opening. As a matter of fact, it created two openings, and I had been listening to a DJ on WWRL who, I didn't know if he was white or black or what, but it turns out he was black. And I'd had your tapes, and I brought them into Wally Schwartz, who decided that he liked both of them. And I know he hired you, and you started doing the all-night show here on WABC.
A lot of people don't remember that. They think I started at 10 o'clock in the morning, which I really didn't, because that was when McNeil's Breakfast Club was on.
I understand. And you did the all-night show, and Chuck Leonard was hired. And I will always admire Chuck, because Chuck walked into Wally Schwartz's office, and Wally offered him the job, and Chuck looked Wally right in the eye and said, "I ain't going to be nobody's experiment."
That's right.
Chuck became the first black disc jockey on an all-white station way back in 1965, for which I've always admired Wally and Chuck.
Yeah.
And then we had the
Chuck
blackout.
and me just got to be the best of friends.
Yeah.
Still are. I mean,
and he's doing well. Anyway, we had our blackout.
We sure did.
The records all slowed down, and I went out to the transmitter with an armload of LPs. Was joined there by Tom Romano. We were on the air till 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was, in a sense, it was fun. But I was really pooped by the time I got out of there.
I'm a little scared because nobody knew what was really going on.
What was weird was they had power in Lodi, New Jersey, which is where our transmitter was. And I was looking across the river at this big hulk, black New York, empty. And it was a little bit frightening. But anyway, those were some of the events of 65. And then in 66, you moved to the midday and made it
11 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
Don McNeil's Breakfast Club was still on.
You know, you've been here 17 years. And I will say it because you won't say it. But one of the best-kept secrets in radio, to my way of thinking, is the fact that you've had the highest midday ratings in the city of New York for about 15 out of those 17 years. Number one all the way. And I think a lot more should be written about that.
Well, won't worry about that. 1966 was a good year. This was one of my really favorite songs. 1966 was Bobby Hebb. Sonny, I love you. I love you. Oh, Sonny, one so true, honey. I love you.
He was first black artist.
First black artist to ever appear on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry. A lot of people think it was Charlie Pride, but it was Bobby Hebb, who is a great songwriter who has written many, many songs. You know that, don't you, Mark?
I do now.
Yes, okay.
Mark Summer's here. Peter Bush just came in.
Yes.
All kinds of good people in the studio. Sid Simon is here. Wouldn't be right what I'd said, you know?
No, I wouldn't. That's the truth.
What's his nickname?
What's his nickname?
Sid never had a nickname.
Oh, he's the president of
he's
premier
president of Brooklyn, the prime minister of Canarsie, but
prime minister of Canarsie,
he's the
right?
prime minister of Canarsie.
Anyway, it was New Year's Day, 1966, when New York first heard "Hello, Love," the greatest city in the world, which went into Midnight Cowboy, didn't it?
Sure did. I got an Oscar for that. You know, it says Best Supporting Voice, 1969.
I went on FM and did something called The Other Day at Ingram Show on WABC FM with Bob Deitch as my engineer. Bob is now Group 7 3/4 or Chief Engineer for FM. I don't know exactly what your title is.
They've all got titles. You got
everybody gets a title. Then we got a new set of jingles. We'll take Fun City and WABC.
That was John Lindsay. That's
right.
That's when he came in, sure.
The All-Americans went on strike, and Rick Sklar went on the air to do about 10 minutes of a newscast.
Billy Bronx.
Rick is a genius at programming, especially at promotion, but he's not an air personality, really. I
never will forget, though, when he got through, you said, "Thank you, Billy Bronx." I'll never forget that as long as I live. Right. Well, that was after we got back on the air.
Yeah. And They're Coming to Take Me Away was removed from the air the second it was played, as a matter of fact. I never did find out who called and had it taken off, but I understand it came from on high.
It really did. It was, it came from way upstairs because it was a lot of doctors and psychiatrists and all people like that were objecting to it.
What's the record you got there?
Well, I'm going to do an ice cream commercial first. Because I love my ice cream.
Hello, New York. Is LaSalle ice cream.
Sounded good to me. I'd say I'm sitting here with a big box of LaSalle all-natural vanilla fudge swirl. Half gallon. That's 1.89 liters.
Says so right on there.
Yum.
I have the rarest recording of all. I've played this on the air a few times, and it was 66 that we finally heard the singing debut of Howard Cosell.
I'm living today. I wanna be a part of it. New York, New York. Hello.
And then when Howard heard what had happened, this is what he said.
I didn't come to the microphone to take your abuse.
Howard is one of the true geniuses of our time.
Certainly is.
Which he'll tell you if you don't tell him.
That's right. And he'll tell you 5 times before you can tell him. You're right. And he's pretty good at gin rummy, too, huh, Dan?
Yeah, I figure I'm down around $5,000 with him. And Branca sold me a couple $100,000 worth of life insurance. That's what he's doing these days. And then I started to worry going across the street because I'd forgotten to fill out the little form on who gets the money. And I don't know whether Ralph filled that out himself or not. But anyway, we are ready for
I think we're ready for John Maher in the news. We're going to be back with a song I believe was number 1 for 1967. I'm not sure. If it wasn't number 1, it was in the top 5. John, what's happening in the news?
Well, Mayor Koch is unveiling his budget. Good morning. It's 64 degrees and sunny in New York. This is the 10 o'clock edition on WABC, New York's radio station. I'm John Maher, WABC News, now with a special one-time-only Lundy and Ingram show.
Ain't that the truth? Or Ingram and Lundy, whichever way you want to put it. Sorry with me. It is 10:08 at WABC. Let's roll on, Lundy. I do want to remind you this special edition is being brought to you by LaSalle all-natural ice cream. I just couldn't think of a better sponsor to go out with here at WABC than LaSalle ice cream. Everybody said I'm like ice cream anyway. So,
my English teacher used to drive a LaSalle, as a matter of fact, many years ago.
No. This is ice cream. Yes, indeed. This is
smooth. Rub it on your body. Feels good.
This is good. 1967.
Oh, are we at 67?
We're at 67.
What happened to 66?
I don't know. That was Bobby Held. That was sort of went out with him.
I see. That was when the Wild Child started. It used to be the Wild Child.
Well, but that was so early. Everybody thinks that was a long time too. That was only for about 3 months.
Yeah, that's my major market ashtray right here.
Chime time, right?
Anyway, it was 1967, and we had something called the Truck-a-Luck, which we used to run around town in and give away tons of prizes, and that's when the station became Music Pow Pow Power. Remember that?
Yep.
I remember it, too.
Unfortunately, I do remember
it. Yes, it was. And the strike was over, of course, at the end of 66. And that was about it in 67 was the Truck-a-Luck. That was fun. We got mobbed, I remember, on 125th Street, Lenox Avenue.
Oh, boy, yeah.
And it was nice. It was a nice kind of a mob. Everybody just wanted to touch and take a small piece of your jacket.
Prizes
and stuff like that.
Stuff like that.
It was fun. It was scary, but it was fun. '67 was a very good year.
Didn't bother me. I don't know. Of course, not too much does bother me, Dan, basically, when you get down to it.
It took me 6 months to stop being able to say groovy after every sentence.
Lose that word.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Well, as Dan Ingram would say, the Rascals.
Oh, did I? Yeah, I did that for years, didn't I?
You really did. And the grooving, we like to never lost that word groovy.
Oh.
I'm glad we lost that.
I
Bruce used to use it all the time. Groovy, gear.
Yo, he had that hernia of the throat. I love Bruce. One of the nicest guys in the business. We got to thank somebody who just happened to walk in. Who was here till 7 o'clock in the morning, putting together the music for us. James Golden, who is probably one of the most erudite, intelligent young men in this business, who is a great man who knows music so well, has been our music director here, and will go on to be a producer, I believe, is in the new regime. And thank you, James, very much.
Thank you very much. Well, you got some great songs, too.
Yeah.
Got 1968 coming up, but let's have some ice cream.
We value good taste.
That's good stuff. I wish I had a spoon right now.
I love it. Right over here behind me, Carl Albanese has got a half-a-gallon drum here. He's just putting his whole face in it.
Brings us up to 68.
1968.
The year Don McNeil's Breakfast Club was replaced by Roby Young.
Oh, yeah, and Rick Sklar took his dartboard off the wall with...
I remember the dartboard. The hour-long evening news block disappeared.
Everything disappeared.
Yeah, we dropped our pick hit, too.
Yeah.
No longer had a pick hit of the week, and we became the most music station.
Yeah.
And Roby and Chuck Leonard and Bob Lewis were also heard on WABC FM, surrounding the other Dan Ingram show.
I never knew they were on FM.
Yeah.
I knew you were on FM, but I never.
For a little
knew
while. I've forgotten the titles of the show. Bob Lewis is called Some Trust in Chariots, and Chuck Leonard's show was something people, singing people, or swinging people, or
I don't remember.
Or adulterous people, or whatever it was. It was some
I try to forget those things.
That was the year Herb Oscar Anderson left WABC and was replaced by Harry Harrison, who came over from the Good Guys. Harry's the luckiest guy in radio. He had just finished up at WMCA and segued neatly right to WABC.
That's right.
That's a nice way to do it.
Sure is.
Well, you do that, too. You haven't been out of work a day in your life since you've been in radio. Have you?
No.
Never?
No. And I don't intend to start now. It's 10:15 at WABC. This guy, it was just a shame about him. He was such a good singer, and I think even before this record was released, he left us. He sure did. Otis Redding. This is the Dock of the Bay.
Sitting in the morning sun.
That's Otis Redding. That was 1968. What a great song. I never got tired of that song. It was about 4 or 5, I think, I've played all through the years. I never really got tired of it.
Try a Little Tenderness, same guy.
I like that, yeah. That was really good. The Dock of the Bay, I just thought was an excellent song. It's 10:18 at 77 WABC. Hello! Good morning. That's Ron Lundy with my best friend in the whole world, Dan Ingram. Dan, we're up to 1969.
Yeah, and that was the day when, the year when Cousin Brucey walked in one day. He had just been shopping and had bought a bunch of jockey shorts, and I had the weather forecast said brief showers, and he showered me with them. And I broke up completely. They're all clean, too, which was nice.
Well, they were all in the package. They were brand new, you know.
And we had our Sockatumi Summer of Fun with solid gold and prizes. That was the first year we won every other record gold.
That was 69.
That was 69. Roby Young had moved to the all-night show.
Roby on the radio.
And Roby, one night, decided that he felt that Paul McCartney was dead. And went on and did several hours of almost talk radio. And somewhere in the middle of the second or third hour, I have the tape at home. There are 4 records segued, and Bill Owen was suddenly on the air on the Bill Owen Show. Mr. Young was removed from the studio, as I recall. A couple of guards, and that was that.
Well, you know the thing about that, the night that Roby went, it was you couldn't get any phone calls. in and out of the building because the lines were so jammed from... You got to realize that at night, this radio station, goes to Cuba, south, and, as far as you can go up in Canada to the north, it really packs a big signal. And everybody was calling in all over the country, and the lines were all jammed. No one could get in or out on the phones when that happened. And
Les Marshak replaced Roby.
Les Marshak certainly did. I guess Roby, you'd say, went out big, didn't he?
Spectacular.
Spectacular.
I like it better this way, myself.
I like it better this way, too. Right. 1969. Yeah. What a year for blood and sweat and tears and all those wonderful people.
What goes up must come down.
Love the last little bit here.
Alfred Augustine?
Yes.
I love it.
I know it was there. It's 10:22. It's 77 WABC. Mr. Ingram?
Yes, we must announce that Super Deitch is at the controls.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Bob Deitch, the first Group 9. You're Group 6, you're a supervisor, and you go higher from there. So Bob is the first Group 9 and a quarter.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, a while ago. Okay, Bob, welcome.
Good to see the master with his hand.
Yes. In the till.
Right, of course.
Right.
What are we up to?
Oh, I don't know. 1970. Oh, yeah, I got to do something here. I want to remind everybody this special edition of the Dan Ingram, Ron Lundy Show is being brought to you by LaSalle All-Natural Ice Cream. And I really want to thank Mr. Steve Kissel. He's the president of LaSalle Ice Cream for making this show possible. Old buddy, with you and me together.
Yeah,
just having a big time. I see Mike McKay knocking down cartridges in there, just falling over records. And, yeah, clumsy. I like Mike, but he is a little clumsy. Yeah,
well,
yeah, right.
You can get away with that in radio.
I know you can. You get away with a lot of stuff in radio.
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody that Dan looks so sharp today. Jacket and tie. And you just look really nice. And
I've been doing that lately.
I'm just wearing sneakers and no socks. Why is that, Dan? Why can't I ever...
Well, you're an earthier person.
Oh, is that it?
I'm a city kid. I mean, Flushing is my hometown and all that. It is.
I just can't measure up. Let's sell some ice cream.
Did you know we value good taste?
We certainly do. That has been our forte in life, good taste.
Forte.
Qu'est-ce
que c'est, forte?
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Boy, it gets into French every so often. That's when my mind wanders.
Yes.
10:25 at WABC. What were you saying about the New York Times a few minutes ago?
Well, they're here. They do write about radio. And they dust off that little logo with the pretty letters every once in a while. They did a week ago. I had an article about WABC going all talk live a week ago Monday, which was a little bit off. But that was the original plan, and then he put it off for a week. And here we are. Oh, one thing I do want to say is that we're doing kind of a retrospective here on the Lundy and Ingram show, but at noon, WABC will become an all-talk station, which is the ineluctable drift of audience, and that's the way it is. We will be the first guests on the all-talk radio show of Mr. Art Athens. And we would like to, at that time, talk with people who will be phoning in, we hope, talking about what's in the future and perhaps to look forward to what's going on
That's
at WABC.
What I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The future. I like, retrospect and all that kind of stuff, but I like today and tomorrow.
Nancy Weil is bringing me coffee. Thank you. You're a nice
That's
lady.
Because she's a wonderful person.
She's a wonderful person.
Yes, indeed.
That's good.
1970 at WABC, everybody was a star. But Ron Lundy and Dan Ingram. 1970, everybody was a star, right? Everybody was a star.
That's right.
On the streets, everybody was a star.
Jay
in
Reynolds came to WABC.
Now there's a star.
There's a star, and we went to Music Is Our Message and the Right On logo, if you remember. The Retro Rock series. Jim Nettleton was here.
Jim Nettleton, what a great guy.
The man who brought the stopwatch to WABC.
Yes, he did.
He certainly did. He was the guy that said, if you count down the intro and have a stopwatch, you can hit the vocal. I never used a stopwatch. I got this little clock in my head that, for some reason, God gave me, whatever that is. You can call it talent or what, but I was usually able to hit a vocal of a record I'd never even heard before for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, Jim was here, and Jay Reynolds was here, and that was 1970. We had an extensive anti-drug campaign and put a lot of the victims of drug abuse on the air, and I hope did some good for some of the people who think drugs are funny, which they aren't. And I never really got into that sort of thing, thank God.
I know. Me neither. No. I never did. I just missed that, thank goodness.
Yeah.
That in a taxi has been a story of my life, missing all that in cabs. I can't ever seem to get a cab. It's 10:30 at WABC. I always thought I was your friend.
Yeah.
1971.
When you're down, you've got a friend.
Oh, Dan, we've had a lot of friends at WABC, haven't we? By golly, I can't really wait to go on the network because you can imagine all the kids have grown up now and they're living out in Dubuque. And all
I've been getting mail from as far away as New Zealand from people saying, right on, good luck, and that sort of thing, which is kind of great. 71, that was 71, and that's the year that WABC began playing some LP cuts in addition to the top singles. We finally realized that, hey, there's a lot of other music out there.
More than 220.
Oh, yeah. Then 72 came along, and year of 72 was a grave bad year because that was the year Chime Time was retired. The bell was taken away, and I no longer salivated every time I played that record. True. Bong. Johnny Donovan started here at WABC in 1972.
10 years ago, Johnny.
That's right. Yeah. And WABC's ratings in 1972 had a cumulative rating of 28%, the all-time high in New York. That was kind of fascinating. Can you believe that?
Imagine that.
Someone came to me and they said, well, what do you think? You got a 28 share in the afternoon. And I said, that means 72% of the people are not listening to me.
You're right.
And that's really where it's all about.
And you probably did say that, Dan,
I did.
If I know you.
Because I don't take that stuff seriously. You know what I take seriously? Every week, a little piece of paper leaves this building, goes to my agent's office. My agent, Don Buckwall, the best agent in the whole world, trims off 10%. And I get the rest, and that, when I want to buy a car, I can buy a car, and that's nice.
Well, I tell you, between Don Buckwall and Leo Kolak, our accountant, we haven't done so bad.
We do have pretty good people.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I don't know. I find them and Dan keeps them. I don't know what it is. No, we've really been lucky. We really have. A lot of people, everybody asks me, say, well, gee, what was your most memorable in all this? It was just so much going on that I never realized that we were as big as we were, and still don't to this day, and I hope I never do, because...
Me either. I don't ever take it seriously.
No, you can't take it serious.
No, I enjoy doing it.
Of course, so the salespeople, they take it very serious, but...
we are here in a meretricious endeavor,
I'm telling you, we really are. Oh, give me some ice cream.
This important message for growing...
We value good taste.
And we do, too. It's 22 minutes before 11 o'clock at WABC. I love to say that. I'm not going to be able to say it much longer.
Yeah, that's true.
I just wonder how many times when we go on the satellite that I'll say WABC New York. I just wonder how many times.
Probably once.
That'll be it.
Okay, fella, hit the street.
Great big sign. Okay, Ron, now stop it. Okay, Rick, I won't do it anymore.
Out, damn call letters.
Well,
no, you can't say that.
Say hello, San Diego. It's 22 minutes before 11 o'clock, 1972.
Yeah.
Listen to the music. Listen to the music.
While it lasts.
Well, yes, at 19 minutes before 11. Actually, the boys, Ross and Wilson, they'll be playing music in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
And they'll be on from 6 until 10 o'clock.
Ah, that's a good time.
Sure.
I wouldn't do 5 to 9. They wanted
They
me
wouldn't
to.
either. That's why they're coming on from 6 to 10.
73. That was the year Bob Cruz came to WABC, took over the all-night duties, and Cousin Brucey had... Well, something happened, and I have a little bit of memorabilia at home on my desk. It's a little tombstone, which Wolfman Jack sent out, and carved on the tombstone. Bruce got the full-size one, and then little replicas were sent out. I have a replica. And it says, Cousin Brucey's days are numbered. Wolfman Jack is on the prowl.
But the Wolfman just couldn't cut it in New York.
Right. Cousin Brucey won the ratings battle with Wolfman Jack. Although I think he didn't really get a fair shot. They had an awful lot of sports on at the same time.
They really did.
He wasn't on the air half the time, and when he wasn't on the air, he was on tape, so it really wasn't a fair shot for him. But anyway, that was the way of the world in those days in 73.
It's the way of the world today, Dan.
Which is a great record by Earth, Wind & Fire, which we're not going to play.
1973, right?
Right.
A little peaceful.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah, Eagles. That's a good song. That's 1974. This special edition of the Ron Lundy, Dan Ingram Show is being brought to you by our friends at LaSalle, all natural ice cream. Yum, yum. Dan?
I love their heavenly hash.
I know you do.
It's so good. I love to just roll it around in my mouth and let it melt and dribble down my chin and stain my tie and all that stuff.
You're such a mess.
74 was the year Cousin Brucey left WABC.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's true.
I didn't know he was gone.
Yes. Yee. But the echo goes on.
Oh.
George Michael was his replacement, and they had $25,000 buttons. Remember those? All over New York, people of all ages. And we also placed bumper buttons on cars everywhere. It was one of the first bumper sticker things. Had a little tiny WABC and a great big McDonald's on it, as I recall.
Of course.
Yes.
The big M.
Yeah. Bruce started acquiring radio stations. He now has 4 of them, as a matter of fact, and is doing very well. He said he's buying radio stations. He's surrounding New York City with radio stations like a noose, and someday he's going to tighten it up on us.
Well, you know what's going to happen? Bruce is going to get his limit of what the FCC will let him have. Then he'll go to television stations, and then he'll probably buy the Daily News. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, listen, someone should.
I'll be nice now. They've been very nice to us.
Listen, if I had the money, I would love to buy the Daily News, because, the one thing I've always wanted to do in my life is be a
Daily
reporter.
Planet.
I have never, ever been able to be a reporter. I can talk, but I can't write.
Yeah, look over here.
I really can't. Man's handing me his notes.
Now, really talking about the Daily News and the New York Times and Post and all the outlying newspapers, they've really been good to us.
Oh, yeah.
And
you want to know that? I'll tell you I can quote verbatim the first time I was mentioned. It was in Kay Gardella, I think, her column.
Yeah.
There was something on, some Mayor Wagner was giving a speech, which we didn't carry. And
we're in music.
And the quote was, CBS, OR, and they listed a whole bunch of stations elected to carry the mayor's speech. WABC elected to put on something called The Dan Ingram Show. Which I thought was kind of nice. So I wrote her a note and said, this is someone named Dan Ingram. I'm not a thing. And she sent a very nice note back.
I love it. 1974. Gosh, that's been, 8 years ago?
Seems that way.
Could it possibly be? I feel brand new today, Dan. It feels like I'm starting my career all over again.
Well, you are.
That's true. That's very true. It's 11 minutes before 11 o'clock at WABC. Oh, darling, you make me feel brand new. 6 minutes before 11 at WABC. That's Ron Lundy with my best friend in the whole world.
Who's that?
You.
Oh, I thought you were my best friend in the whole world.
Why, oh, you.
Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yes, indeed.
75, according to my notes, nothing happened in 1975.
Something did happen in 1975.
Oh, what happened in 1975?
Well, Neil Sedaka came back. We'll be getting into that in just a minute.
Every time we value good taste.
Well, you can't get much better taste than LaSalle ice cream, and that's a fact.
Yeah,
Jack, I'll take that to the bank.
I sure will carve it in stone and all those great one-liners. Right.
No, Neil Sedaka.
What about Neil Sedaka?
Now let's not get into Neil. This is
last
day at WABC.
No, I think Neil Sedaka is a very talented man, brilliantly talented man. I just don't like him personally. That's all.
I like him. I remember.
You're much nicer than I am.
I like Neil Sedaka. Neil Sedaka wrote this song. It was a.
You're going to play a Neil Sedaka song now?
Yes, I am. And he wrote this
cold.
song.
You're really cold, my friend.
1975, Captain and Tennille. No one knew who the Captain and Tennille were.
Well, it's a song he wrote. We don't have to listen to him.
Yeah, but they say Sedaka's back.
I always ask, what's the ugliest thing in showbiz right before they do that?
And this is Tony Tennille and Daryl Dragon. Captain Tennille. This was 1975.
Love will keep us together.
What's the ugliest thing in showbiz?
You just had to do that, didn't you? You just had to do that. Oh, my friend Neil Sedaka, you're a big champion. See, I always play the good guy. Dan and me would have been great cops. I'd always been the good guy. Dan would have been the bad guy. Actually, it's the other way around. Dan is really the good guy here. I'm the bad guy.
No, I'm the All-American. You were the good. No, I was the good guy, and you were the All-American.
The All-American.
Well, I don't think there's much more we can get out of that line.
I don't think so either. I don't want to get much more out of it. We're going to be coming back with 1974. First, we're going to take out a little bit with, gosh, John, I guess this might be our last newscast, huh? I mean, with you, anyway, fella.
I'll still be here while you guys are flitting through the satellites.
I know. To the world.
Stalwart.
Yes, John, I guess you'll still be smoking that funny stuff in your pipe. I don't know. John,
what is that? The Daily News? You got any?
It is. Well, actually, what he does, you see, he takes the funnies from the Daily News and he mixes it together with the editorial page of the Times, and then he takes the back sport page of the Post, and that's what he smokes.
He only smokes the pages with the red ink.
Of course. That's why he's such a funny dude.
Connoisseur.
It is time for the news. It's 11 o'clock at WABC New York with my buddy John Maher. John?
While you guys are having fun, Mayor Koch was spending this morning outlining his new $15 billion budget, first to the city council, then to reporters. Good morning. It's 65 degrees sunny in New York. This is the 11 o'clock edition on WABC, New York's radio station. The mayor's news. I'm John Maher, WABC News with Ron Lundy, Dan Ingram.
Well, you got that right, John. It's 11:08 at WABC. I want to remind everybody this portion, special edition of the Dan Ingram, Ron Lundy Show is being brought to you commercial-free by our friends at LaSalle All-Natural Ice Cream. Where are we up to? What's the year, Sidney? 1976. What was memorable in 1976?
Well, I'll catch my notes from Richard Lorenzo, who I thank again for sending this. Right. Well, we had the space mission, the joint USSR Soyuz mission, and my program was being fed down the line. ABC had the pool feed,
right.
And it was kind of interesting to find out that in Moscow, local Muscovites were taping my show and selling it for $100 an hour with all the rock. It was going for $100 a copy in Russia at the time, and we did manage to wake up the astronauts one morning with some rock and roll. That was kind of fun. It was kind of fun listening to it come back down the line. They set up a feed so we could hear the return. It was 3 seconds later, when you know you had been up to a satellite.
Up to a satellite.
Which
back, yeah.
seems somewhat bodacious for the future, because we're going to our satellite. Rick Sklar became the vice president of programming for the American Broadcasting Company and left WABC. And the WABC audience cume in 1976 exceeded 5 million people a week.
That's a lot of people.
That's a whole lot of folks.
If you ever start thinking about that, you'd be very scared.
Well, yeah, because the divergency of background and all that means there isn't a damn thing you can say without somebody getting
That's right. I don't care. You say hello and you're going to irritate somebody. What do you mean by that?
Right.
Nothing but just hello. I know one thing. It was a gentleman from, I believe it was the Associated Press, or one of them that was in Moscow at the time that was going on. And they said they have never seen as many tape recorders in the open.
Oh, yeah.
As it was when we were broadcasting to the hookup.
My agent was very annoyed he didn't get his 10%.
Well, you're not going to get anything from Russia in 10%. You better believe that. But I can imagine all the tapes that were all over the Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia and all those places from that day on WABC. And they're still there, right? They're playing them like they're new music. That was a good year. Music wasn't bad either.
Oh, yeah.
WABC. A lot of good years here. WABC, still the one. We've been together since way back when. WABC, still the one.
Yeah, I guess
just love that when the ABC network a couple of 3 years ago picked that up for their theme song.
Wasn't
Still
that nice?
The one. I thought that was really good.
I got a little keychain that has that on it.
Do you really?
Somebody who was a general manager at the time gave to me, and I've forgotten who, frankly. But I think it was George. No, maybe it was Al Racco. By the way, we ought to say thank you to Al Racco, who has allowed this program to happen. He's a man of vision and a man who is leading WABC into its new era.
Indeed, he is.
He's going to do a great job, and I know the station is going to be extremely successful with the talk format because there is room in the market for it. And I've seen all the research, and it looks good. And I think the people that are here on WABC in New York are just dynamite people. And the folks that will be coming from the satellite talk radio service out of L.A., which will be carried locally, are about the best in the business. So the station's really going to do well. Absolutely, incredibly good. 77 was the year George Michael stayed on the air all night as he furnished New Yorkers with vital information during the city's second blackout. Do you remember the second blackout?
You missed that one? How did you miss that one?
I missed that one because I was on my way home, and I got out to the Nassau County line, and all of a sudden there was light and electricity. And I called up George on the air and told him I was taking my suburban martini and going to my suburban home and my suburban air conditioning, and left him to do his city show, which was kind of fun.
I think that's great. You were talking about Al Racco a few minutes ago, and I want to thank Al because, I mean, personally, the gentleman has been so nice to me. I mean, for the 7 years he's been here.
Oh, yeah.
And vice president, general manager. And I know if anybody can make talk radio go, Al can. And with a lot of help from Jay Clark. And still some of the guys, you know, are going to be here. Ross and Wilson will be with you in the morning.
Yeah.
And, of course, Art Rust Jr., Dr. Judy Kuriansky, and those ever-loving Yankees who better get it together.
Yeah, I think they better start hitting the ball, as they say. We have something coming up. We have about 1 minute here.
Oh, my goodness, it's Rick Sklar.
Rick Sklar has come into the studio. Rick, would you just tell us something about what was your most memorable moment at WABC?
When he hired Ron Lundy.
Every time the rating books came in.
I love it.
Somebody asked Rick one time, now this is a true story. Somebody asked Rick one time, it was some party, some agency party or something, and they asked him, they said, Rick, how in the world did you ever get Ron Lundy to move to New York? Now, this is 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And Rick says, well, I'll be honest with you. Ron drove me crazy till I gave him a job. And that was just about the truth. Rick, it's good seeing you.
Rick,
I hope we see each other for the next 20 years.
Because we're joining Rick on Super Radio, which is kind of nice.
Oh, I think it's fantastic that you guys are going to be really the heart of this thing. It's just, I couldn't be more pleased.
Well, it's our pleasure.
We had a nice compliment from some people at another radio station down in Rockefeller Center. They said that if Rick Sklar and Dan Ingram and Ron Lundy couldn't make it go, they could hang up the satellites. So I thought that was just a pretty nice compliment coming from the Peacock
We have
people.
something to play which runs a good 30 minutes.
Yes.
It is the WABC Music Radio Remembrance. The Music Radio WABC Remembers. It's a montage of just all kinds of goodies from all the years, and it goes like this.
More music on 77 WABC.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
The complete montage can be heard on the second cassette. Now, for continuity's sake, here's how it ended.
Till it wouldn't be long, they was with me, yeah, me, singing, I love rock and roll. I'm into my baby, I love rock and roll.
Well, how about that? That was about 36 minutes and 21 seconds of Music Radio WABC Remembrance.
That's the best montage I've ever heard in my life.
Well, we got a lot of people to thank for it. The engineers were George Thomas Musgrave III.
George Thomas?
Yes, I didn't know that.
Well,
it was
you learn
written
a lot
right
of
here.
things on your last day here.
Mike Mamone and Al Rosen, courtesy of WLS in Chicago. Technical support and coordination. I can't even read.
Sure you can,
Steve
Dan.
Goldstein, Sue Lee, Kathy Weinflash, James McGuire. Producers were Tommy Edwards, courtesy of WLS in Chicago. George Thomas Musgrave III gets credit again as a producer, and Mike Mamone does. The executive producer, James Golden, who was here until 7:30 this morning putting
Bless
that
his
together.
heart, yeah.
And special thanks to Jonathan Wolfert, who is the president of Jam Creative Productions Incorporated, for creating over the years and providing WABC Radio with a special package of jingles that were used in the presentation. Well, we got a couple of minutes left, Ryan. It's come down to this, hasn't it? It's
but
about a minute and a half.
This is the beginning, Dan. I mean,
It is
you know,
the beginning.
It's the beginning for you and for Rick and me, and it's the beginning for Al and for Jay and everybody here with Talk Radio. So this is the beginning. This isn't the end.
Okay.
And that's the way I like to look at it. That's the way I've always thought about it. Oh, I do want to remind you, I want to thank all the folks at LaSalle Ice Cream, especially the president, Mr. Steve Kissel, for the presenting this show, for Dan Ingram and Ron Lundy. Our last WABC show. Sounds like a movie, doesn't it? The Last Picture Show or something? I had a good time today. I love you. Thank you so much for everything.
I love you too, Ron. My best friend in the whole world. It's been a lot of records over the turntables to make a very bad simile. There is one thing that I want to say that will be probably the last time matter of fact, it will be the last time I will ever be able to say this on WABC. And the last thing I'm going to say is, this is WABC New York. I can't say that anymore, can I? But it's been a ball for almost 21 years for me, 17 years for you, Ryan, for almost 22 years of the programming that's been on the station all this time, and we'd like to play just a couple of things to nail it down. Let's have that.
And the world will live as one. WABC. When you need somebody near you who will take the time to hear you, you can talk to us. WABC. When you need a way to show that your opinions count, you know that you can talk to us. WABC. 'Cause we love the sound of people talking. New York, you're never alone. WABC. Talk Radio 77. New York, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut too. You're the people we're talking to. When there's something on your mind, an open ear is what you'll find. Come on and talk to us. WABC, share your views with the nation, 'cause you've got a station you can talk to. WABC, Talk Radio 77, New York.
Good afternoon. I'm John Maher, WABC News. It's